So I take this opportunity to welcome our next two speakers. They have arrived, Mr. Basanta Kumar Karki as well as Dr. Ram Hari, who will be taking the next two sessions. Now, but before that, I would request Mr. Basanta Kumar Karki ji for his keynote session on fostering collaboration, the ILO's role in harmonizing labor markets, industry needs, and TVET systems. So he is working as Senior Program Officer, International Labour Organization, Country Office for Nepal. He has about 25 years of experience working in development sector, starting his career with one of the Nepal's leading trade union confederations. He is associated with ILO from last 6 years, including working 3 years at international level. With present portfolio in ILO, Mr. Karki is responsible for managing backstopping mandates linked in jobs, employment, skills, enterprises, social protection, and labor migration. His professional career is strongly supported academically by master's degree in sociology and public administration. He engaged in the field of trade union rights, workers' rights, and other employment issues of workers for 6 years. After that, he engaged in socio-economical empowerment of marginalized communities such as Dalits, indigenous, women, and poor, along with institutional strengthening of the institutions representing these right holders. He also briefly engaged on the democratic agendas such as social inclusion and governance. He is well-trained and has extensive exposures on the issues of promotion and protection of human rights in general and rights of workers, migrant workers in specific. From last 12 years, he is involved in promotion and protection of rights of the migrant workers with focus on access to justice, access to skills, access to financial literacy and institutional building. Particularly, his present engagement is more focused on development and a reformulation of policies, laws, programs related to employment, labor migration, skills, entrepreneurship, and social protection. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and being part of today's conference.
Good afternoon and namaste everyone. Madam has already introduced me. It's a bit of a long introduction. Thank you so much, Madam, for your time. First, I would like to thank the staff college and the TVET who is managing this international conference. Before starting my presentation, I would like to inform you that I am not a skilled person as such, because this is more technical kind of a discussion, I can assume. Based on my experience beforehand and my present engagement with the ILO, so it's more about how ILO is engaged in relation to skills, TVET, not only skills, but technical education and vocational training. Thank you very much. I will try to be very brief. So first of all, I know that in the hall, like there are people from different walk of life, so they may not be quite aware about what exactly ILO is. So just a brief introduction about ILO. It's the oldest among the UN agencies. Actually, the ILO was established before the UN was established. So it was established in 1919, and it is the only specialized agency dedicated for the world of work. There are many UN agencies you might have heard about. There are many names. But the only agency who really work on the employment, rights of workers, and everything related to work it's ILO. And it is also a very unique among the UN agencies because it is governed by tripartite mechanism where there are government, workers, and employers who actually run the show in the ILO. So right now we have 187 member states from where the same, like the workers' representations and the employers' representations are there. So member state means it's not only the government, it's also the workers and the employers. So that's the very unique feature of ILO. So what ILO does, it primarily sets normative framework and standards and policy directions. So what does normative framework means? It's basically the conventions, the very higher level of kind of a policy recommendation, right? And then the principles related with the world of work. So this is what basically ILO is in a nutshell. So TVET, why it is important for ILO? Because it has a significance. Primarily, why TVET is important for ILO? Because it needs to respond to increasingly dynamic and fluid labor market. We know that in recent years, labor market is changing so rapidly. And now with the advent of AI and all these new technologies, the traditional sectors of jobs and occupations, they are rapidly changing. So that's why for ILO, there is a need to respond to this increasingly dynamic and fluid labor market. Second, the other new phenomena like climate change, technology, demographic shifts even, and the migration we are talking about, the globalization, are causing increasingly disruption to the world of work, because it is changing the traditional, conventional labor employee relationship in the world of work, and making skills development increasingly complex, fluid, and unpredictable, because the skills need are changing so rapidly in the current labor market. So there are so many kind of elements who are contributing to it. And to addressing contemporary skills challenges requires more dynamic and integrated skills and lifelong learning ecosystem. Because we are talking about now, you might be hearing this lifelong learning ecosystem, lifelong learning, a new term for many of you maybe, because it's a requirement for the ILO to address these contemporary skills challenges. And then investing in people's capabilities is one of the key recommendations of the Global Commission on the Future of Work. There was a global kind of initiative taken by ILO to look into the future of work in 21st century, how it is shifting, how it is going to change. So it has clearly identified that there is a need in investing in people's capabilities, means it's developing skills, their capacities. And the ILO Centenary Declaration for the Future of Work, which calls for action from ILO constituents to promote effectively lifelong learning system and quality education for all. This is also another initiative which is trying to address the changing labor market, changing scenario of the skills, which is also kind of indicated that there is a need to invest in a lifelong learning system and a quality education for all. All these provide the ILO with a unique opportunity to support member states to develop and implement education, training, and lifelong learning policies and programs that promote people's employability throughout their lives. So that is why these are some of the bases why TVET is really important for the work of ILO. So previously I kind of shared the information about a major intervention of the ILO. So one of the key work of the ILO is to set normative frameworks, normative standards, right, which guide the overall work of the ILO. So one of the such normative frameworks that is really related with the TVET or skills is it's called Paid Educational Leave Convention, which was enacted in 1974, which is known as Convention number 140. So it has set a kind of a standards for paid education leave, because this is the kind of a work ILO is involved. It's not really like a developing at a micro level kind of intervention, but it's at a very higher level policy work. So if you see how and why this is really important, this kind of a normative framework. So why this paid education leave convention is there? Because it is granting a worker for educational purposes for a specified period during working hours with adequate financial entitlements. Why paid educational leave for any worker? It's not worker means it's not only the blue collar job, it's also the white collar job as well, right? So it is kind of a devised a convention, devised a kind of convention in 1974, which which kind of giving policy guidance to the member state to develop a policy to or the legal legislation which kind of provide like these benefits. So these policies are to formulate and apply a policy designed to promote the granting of a paid education leave for the purposes of training at any level. Once like the person is in a job, so it should kind of allow to take training at any level. And it's also for a general social and civic education and trade union education as well, because ILO is a tripartite body, like I said earlier. So trade union education is also part of the education and training system for ILO. So if you see that like a training at any level is directly linked with the TVET kind of opportunities for the workers. So when this convention kind of a guide ILO member state to develop such policy, which shall be designated to contribute to the acquisition, improvement and adaptation of occupational and functional skills. So such training should be for the purpose of improvement and adaptation of occupational and functional skills and the promotion of employment and job security in conditions of scientific and technological development and economic and structural changes. So we can see the leverages that the convention is providing in relation to TVET for the member state to devise such policies. And also it's for the human, social and cultural advancement of the workers. Why such education leave is required is because for the purpose of human, social and cultural advancement of the workers and to the promotion of appropriate continuing education and training. You can see the importance which was really understood back in 1974, why there is a need of continuing education and training to adapt with the labor market changes and helping workers to adjust to contemporary requirements, because it is already envisioned that labor market will not remain static. The skill set required, the occupational competencies required will be keep changing. So accordingly, the workers also need to have these capabilities and the opportunities to develop their capabilities. And be coordinated with the general policies concerning employment, education and training. Because training cannot take place only in isolation, because it is also linked with the employment and education as well. And the public authorities, employers and workers organizations and institutions or bodies providing education and training shall be associated in a manner appropriate with the formulation and application of the policy. It means that a single body or single government institution will not be able to really deliver those promises. So to deliver those broader promises, there is a need of different stakeholders to work together, and there is a need of like a coordinated approach and coordinated efforts from all these actors. So this non-metric framework related to paid education leave convention is kind of a setting a standard in relation to the governments to devise policies and programs which will allow the workers to have their continued skills and then labor market adaptability. So there is another like a key important non-metric frameworks like before. It's called Human Resource Development Convention, which was adopted in 1975. Just after the previous one. So what does this convention provide? So this convention basically guides member state to adopt and develop comprehensive and coordinated policies and programs of vocational guidance and vocational training. You see, closely linked with employment. So why we are talking about vocational training? Because it's linked to the employment. So the member state, the countries who have adopted this convention, so they are guided to have such a comprehensive and coordinated policies. Such policies should establish and develop open, flexible and complementary system of general, technical and vocational education, vocational guidance and vocational training. So vocational guidance means it's basically we now termed it as a career counseling, because that's what we now understand it, right? And it's really important not only for the vocational training but also for the vocational education, either through formal education or outside it. So the skills could be learned in different way. Like people learn the skills even like in their day-to-day work. So now we have turned this as a recognition of prior learning, the term that you easily understand. So actually this was, RPL was recognized by ILO in 1975. The RPL we are talking about recent years, it's not really new. It was already envisioned somewhere at the policy level, at the normative level at that time. So outside, it means the skills which workers or anyone can learn outside of the structural framework. So that is also really important in that sense. So information and guidance shall cover the choice of an occupation. So it means the vocational guidance it is referring to. Choices of an occupation, vocational training and related educational opportunities, the employment situation and employment prospects, promotion prospects, and condition of works. So it's not only about like entering into the job market, but it's also for the promotion, for the career upliftment. So such a kind of a policy and program should help the workers to when they are already in the job as well. So it should be intended to extend, adapt, and harmonize its vocational training system to meet the needs for vocational training throughout life of both young persons and adults. So vocational training and educational opportunities is not only for the beginners. It's not only before the person enters into the labor market or get into the job. It should be kind of a throughout the life cycle processes in all sectors of the economy and at all levels of skills and responsibility. So it doesn't only talk about the occupational jobs. It's also talk about the any kind of a skills level and any level of the responsibility, whether even at the very higher level, because there is a need to adapt to the new skills and demand. So that's why like this Human Resource Development Convention is guiding the member state to devise such policies and programs to contribute towards this direction. Such policies and programs of vocational guidance and vocational training shall be formulated and implemented in cooperation with the employers and workers' organization. Because such policy could not be developed in isolation. The government only is not like have enough resources to develop such policies and programs. Government needs support from the employers, which we are referring here as industries, and also from the workers, because at the end of the day, workers are the like a final beneficiaries who will be gaining the skills, who require to gain the skills to support the industries, right? So that's why it is really important for the government to work together with the employers and workers organizations to kind of implement and develop these kind of policies and programs. So just a very kind of a few information, which is very general, which we all are aware about. Industries and the TVET, how it is really important and connected. Why TVET is important. Why industries are key in relation to TVET. We know it very well. So industries, they create new jobs, right? Or they continue the existing jobs as well as they also create new jobs. And they also require new skills in existing jobs. So there are two dimensions. One, they create new jobs. Another one, they have a job existing, but they need new skills. So this is somehow it's creating demands for the TVET in overall, because there is a need for the TVET. And then actually it's the industry who know what skills they need. It's not like an institution like TVET. It's not the government who actually know like what kind of a workers is required for the labor market. It's actually the industry who know what kind of skills they need in their workers. And they are the one who also use the innovation. Once there is a new invention, once there is a new technology, right? It is the industry who first use them. And once they like start to use the innovation, so they require new set of skills into their workforce. So that is how they influence the TVET as well, because they know for the institution like TVET, the industries go to them and they say like, we need kind of vocational education training for this kind of skills. So that's how they influence the whole TVET system. Similarly, like they are also like a primary actor who dominates the labor market, because they are the one who creates the job. They are the one like who kind of provide employment opportunity to the workers, and that's why they also dominate the labor markets. And they also expect skills and they also have expectation on skills anticipation and matching, because they are the one at the end of the day who will be employing workers, and they know what kind of skills is required for like the work that they have. So this is somehow it's factoring TVET growth. If there is no demand from the industry for certain skills, so that means that skills, whatever you supply in the in the market, will not survive, will not thrive, because there will be no one to obtain that skills. So that's why it's industry is so important, that they kind of dominate whole cycle of this TVET system. And government, human resource development for the country is the primary kind of objective for the government, and it's also priority. And it's not only for the country in a global, changing global perspective. It's beyond the country, because for a country like Nepal, where labor migration is so dominant. So when our government, they devise a human resource development policy, so they also have to think beyond the country boundary, the international labor market where Nepali workers are going to be employed, right? So that's why this TVET is really, really important for the government. So how it is so? Because it is also, the government policies and programs are also helping to create demands for TVET. How? Because employment is priority for every government, whether it is United States, whether it is Nepal, whether it is India. So employment is already in the forefront of the government priorities, right? So they also need to collaborate with the industries for growth. Economic growth is another priority, but economic growth only is not enough, because the economic growth only may not provide adequate employment opportunities within the country. So with the industries, growth in the industries, it is anticipated that it is also create employment opportunities. So that is why it altogether create demands for TVET for the government as well. And then there are like, government is primarily responsible for developing appropriate policy, strategies, and programs on human resource development. And they are the one who are also regulating of and investing in a TVET. So that is how government is trying to shape the whole TVET supply side, because they provide with the policy, they provide with the program, and then they also kind of invest in the TVET, and they also regulate the TVET. So that is how the country level, like a TVET industry will be shaping, and it's a kind of like a supply side. So there is also a demand side of the TVET, where like government interventions are really important, such as like influence on industries and labor markets. It depends like how government influence the industries and the labor market. So that is also kind of a create or kind of a reduce the demand of the TVET industries, and also capacity of TVET to match with the labor market, because it's not only the TVET, the private sector which could be able to really address the immediate demand of the TVET, but there is also need for the government to invest in capacity development, which could also help to match the emerging demands in the labor market. So this is how the government somehow like influences the whole TVET system in any country. So finally, it's the workers. So why workers are also one of the determinant factors for the whole TVET ecosystem within the country. For workers, it's basically lifelong learning opportunities. Their concern is for decent jobs and also for the career growth. So how they influence? So there is a need of competencies to find a decent jobs, right? Who have a kind of a competencies, qualifications, so they tend to find a more better and decent jobs. And then the labor market is rapidly changing, and also the skills requirement in the labor market. So that kind of encourages workers to go for the TVET, okay, which create a kind of a demands for the TVET industries. So it's also about like new additional skills for career growth. Once they are already in the job, but they still need to learn new things, new technology, new ideas, new skills, and so on and so forth. So which also is very important for their career growth. And then also there is a competition in labor market, because now the employer relationship changing so rapidly. So if the employee is not really competent enough, so there are new employee who have competent, are more competent, who have appropriate skills, so they will displace the old one. So there is this kind of a competition in the labor market, which kind of a push workers to go for the skills, new skills. So which is also kind of a shaping the Tibet demand side. And finally, it's a willingness of industries in skilling workers as well, because industry also want to invest in skilling of workers because it is linked with the productivity. So if the productivity of the workers is higher, then the profit, the business, everything will be higher. So there is a willingness from the workers as well, industries as well, to kind of skill workers. And also workers have a capacity to influence in government for lifelong learning opportunities. Lifelong learning opportunities is coming as a new term, but this is something, like I said previously, in the convention, it's already there. So the government now has a capacity to influence the workers have a capacity to influence the government as well to provide these lifelong learning opportunities. So this is also somehow like helping to shape the supply side of the Tibet from the workers' perspective. So this is very general, we all know. So, and how the ILO come here? Because for the Tibet, basically the ILO role is to fostering tripartite collaboration. Because ILO is not the institution as such who really kind of work at a very technical level of the Tibet. It's more, it is more working at a creating conducive environment to kind of create a conducive overall like a Tibet ecosystem within the country and beyond. So how it does so? It is promoting social dialogue to enable Tibet with the expectation to meet expectations of the government, industries, and workers. Because ILO, like I said earlier, it works with the three key kind of actors of the labor market, right? So it's a kind of a promoting social dialogue, bringing government, employers, and workers together in the table to kind of meet the expectations. So basically, how ILO works with the employers in relation to Tibet. It is working with the industries or employers in understanding skills gap and a need, because we work with the employers directly, right? So ILO facilitate this learning. It's like what are the skill gaps in the and what is the need of the industries. It also works with the employers to issues around productivity, because productivity is also one of the key kind of factors in relation to Tibet. And then we work with the industries to look around the issues of productivity. And it's also about the growth of industries creating decent jobs. Why growth of industries is important for ILO? With perspective of the creating more decent jobs, because there is a demand for more jobs in the market. And then partnership on Tibet. So that's how ILO engages with the employers or industries in relation to Tibet. And with the workers, it's basically we engage with the available labor force and skills, because we anticipate we work with the employers workers organizations to understand what kind of a labor force are there and what kind of skills is available within the existing labor force, and what are the skills gaps and mismatch. Because we also work with the industries, then we also work with the workers, then we try to like figure out like what kind of skills gaps are there, and what are the skills mismatch are there. And skilling and promotion of skilling and a lifelong learning opportunity for the workers is also one of the priority area for the ILO to engage with the workers. And finally, with the government. So basically, ILO is a technical specialist organization. It works together with the government to develop policies and programs to meet labor market need. Because we provide data, we provide information, we provide like a cross-sharing of the information, then we help government to shape policies and programs to meet the labor market need. And also like helping government to develop a labor market information system, which provides government with data, facts, and figures about like a skills need, skills mismatch, projection of skills for the coming years, and so on and so forth. And also like somehow supporting government in technical capacity building of a TVET. So this is how ILO is engaged with these three different actors in relation to like a fostering collaboration linked to TVET. So how does it work? The tripartite plus collaboration. So we basically work at the horizontal level and vertical collaboration as well. So how we do it at country level? So we work with the workers directly and also at the jointly. So because like I said earlier, so we work with the workers separately, we work with the industries, and we work with the government. But at the same time, we also work together, bringing all three actors together on the same table to discuss on the same issues. And at the beyond the country level, so we work at a various level. For us, like collaboration among the constituents within the national level, learning from regional level experiences, and learning from global level. Because ILO, like I said earlier, we work with we have a membership of 187 countries. Means we have a partnership with the 187 employers organization and 187 workers organizations in the 187 countries. So that's how the global level knowledge, information, good practices, best practices, they are shared at different levels. So this is how we support like a fostering tripartite plus collaboration in relation to Tibet. So I'm coming almost at the end of my presentation. So primarily the key intervention on Tibet for ILO is, it's like the norms and standards, which I already shared with you, the Convention 140, 142, which provide member states with the policy level guidance to develop like relevant policies and programs at the country level. And it also like kind of a developing operational guidance, such as like a human resource development recommendation 200-2004 and quality apprenticeships recommendation to 2023. Which is known as the number 208 as well. So these kind of policy documents is providing a guiding guidance to the member state or other actors in relation to Tibet. And like I said earlier, ILO is more active in the building partnership. So there are like different initiatives ILO is taking at the global level. There is a initiative called Global Skills Program, Global Skill Partnership on Migration, Interagency Group on a TVET, Global Apprenticeship Network. So these are the kind of different initiative ILO is taking in relation to kind of a build collaboration among different actors. So like these are the few priorities of the ILO at present in relation to Tibet. So skills policies, systems and digitalization of the whole Tibet system, skills delivery, skills for the future of work, and skills for social inclusion. So these are the four priorities area which ILO is taking in relation to Tibet at present. So generating and sharing knowledge on Tibet is one of the key kind of intervention of ILO. So you can see many kind of these documents, policy guidance, research papers, which ILO has developed in relation to Tibet. For instance, changing demand for skills in digital economies and societies, which is really emerging sector in relation to Tibet. Digitalization of Tibetan skills development, leveraging technology to support lifelong learning. You can see the policy brief on effective governance of and coordination in skill systems, tripartite sector skills bodies, the role of employers in skills development system. So you can find a range of like these knowledge products which somehow contributes to this collaboration between different actors in relation to Tibet. And that's it from my end. Thank you very much for your patience and listening to it.
Thank you for the nice presentation. As we know, we all know that TVET is an apex body of Tibet education in Nepal. Will you provide some initiative example that ILO roles to collaborate the industry linkage with Tibet sector in Nepal?
Thank you. Basically, like the intervention at the country level is different from different country to different countries. So in ILO, maybe we are not directly engaged with the Tibet because more of our work in Nepal is linked with the Ministry of Labor and Employment, which is also one of the like a key kind of institution at the government level in relation to like a labor market influence and the skills development. So, but like there are a few policy level kind of intervention. Like for instance, while Ministry of Labor they develop the national employment policy, or the employment kind of intervention employment programs as such. Maybe I may not be able to provide you a concrete example of partnership between CTBT and ILO as such in Nepal because I don't remember because I don't have like a kind of information on all these kind of partnership. But since I said to you earlier, we work more at the policy level. rather than like at the very technical level of the technical education and vocational training.
Hello, thank you for your nice presentation. My question is related to the assessment of TVET program. How does ILO Nepal assess the current market and industry needs to align its program with the demands of the labor market? What is the ILO best practice for assess the labor market and TVET program? And another is, what initiative are being taken to equip Nepali workforce to the with the skill required for marketing? Thank you.
It's a really very important and relevant question, which I also ask many times with myself, because we have a whole like this kind of a supply side of this skills training available. But the biggest question, whenever you go to the industries, whenever you go to the employers, they say that they are not finding the people with the right skills and qualifications. They have skills, they have a certificate, but they do not have really the skills required to perform the job. That means there is a problem in our skills training, whatever we are providing. Either it is not matching with the skills need of the employers, or there is a big questions on the quality of the skills training that we are providing. So how ILO is intervening is like we are doing the skills need assessment of the different sectors at a different level based on the demand of the industries. So those skills need assessment is trying to find out what kind of skills are really required for the industries, for certain industries. Maybe it may be like a very sector one, like a kind of hospitality, travel or tourism, or the like a footwear industries, or those related to the handicrafts and so on and so forth. So we are doing this sectoral skills need assessment, and also trying to bridge the gap between the skills available and the skills need with the employers. So how we can really improve the curriculum which are providing like this is specific training. So this is like how we are engaged to match with the skills demand, skills need, and then skills supply in the labor market.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. I am Nirmal Sapkota, representing technical education provider from non-governmental sector in Nepal. Now we are discussing an industry-academia linkage. I want to focus my question here. In Nepal, we are now discussing about learning and earning together. Student should have opportunity to earn while learning. The global scenario is different. Students are getting earning while they are on the job training in a global scenario. But in our context, the students have to pay for the job. Students are paying for on the job training. I think this is the peculiar scenario in Nepal. What may be the role of ILO to improve the scenario of on-the-job training to students to promote the academia industry linkage in Nepal? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a really very hard question for me to respond. Again, like this is linked with the policy and also the legislation of the country, right? So ILO has developed a kind of like I said, I presented earlier. It's like a guidance on the apprenticeship. Like you said, like on-the-job training is also like kind of apprenticeship. It's really correct that when like they are doing this kind of apprenticeship or on-the-job training, actually they should be paid by the employer because they are supporting employers to do their job, right? And I think the policy of the Nepal government also is in the same line, but the thing is it's like the implementation. It's not really properly implemented. So what, as ILO, what we can do is we can really raise this issue with the employers organization because like they are the one who are putting these people in the on-the-job training, and at the same time working with the Ministry of Labor to kind of support them in developing policies and legislative framework which kind of protect the rights of these apprenticeships trainees, so that they are not exploited in real term, rather than they are benefiting from it. So that is what, like as ILO, we can really engage with both the industries and the government in relation to regularize this issue. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, sir, for your session. I request our Professor Dr. S.K. Dhameja, sir, Director General CPSC, to kindly give a token of appreciation to our keynote speaker. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your session.